So let's switch gears now. From security, we move to election matters, privacy matters, pre-election matters, and that's where we're headed to right now. Jeffrey Bukola.
All right, so let's talk about law. Inibe Effiong is a constitutional lawyer and a rights activist. Inibe, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Let's start with the most pronounced one. We have not gotten out of the, let me use the Nigerian term, wahala of Josh Omeputan, the professor, over some comments under a tweet he made in 2023 made by Dayo Israel, where the INEC said they are also investigating that particular issue. And then we saw Lere Olayinka, the aide to the FCT minister, coming out to say, literally bringing out somebody's private data to show that he just literally transferred his registration to Abuja. That has generated controversy to the effect that why and how did he get access to that private data? Well, INEC has said, well, technically that's a breach, but it explained itself to say maybe a personnel of theirs in their CVRO had access to that back-end information, but didn't have authority to share that information. So they're investigating in collaboration with the DSS. So, but Lere Olayinka has not been invited by any of the security agencies. I don't know what the law says about that yet. But let's bring in the lawyer. Ms. Enibe, I joined you to lay the foundation to this conversation. What do you make of this whole new situation? INEC is already dealing with, or has been dealing with, the crisis of confidence. What do you make of this one?
Thank you. What has happened has only exacerbated the loss of confidence in the Professor George Amopitan-led INEC. I like the preamble that you have given, but you know what is striking? Dayo Israel is an aide to the president, if I'm not mistaken.
Is the national youth leader of APC right now?
Well, he works for the president.
The APC.
Yes. Lere Olayinka is an aide to the minister of the FCT. These two individuals are interested parties. Their principals are interested parties. They are partisan individuals in the coming elections. I'm trying to establish a pattern. What we have seen, or what we witnessed, when the post, formerly called tweets, associated with the INEC chairman, the partisan commentaries, became an embarrassing public spectacle. We saw how Dayo Israel inferentially was coordinating with INEC in their public response to public criticism. Statements emanating from, credited to INEC, was published by Dayo Israel. And it was Dayo Israel who even brought this matter to public light.
I think you're referring to Dada Olusegun, who shared some of the INEC's statements on his own part.
Yes, thank you, Olusegun. Yeah. But you see the pattern. From the point I'm making is that if you look at these individuals, they are associated with the current government. Are you saying it is a coincidence? What this speaks to is that at a minimum, the ruling party has a strong hand on critical infrastructure in INEC. That is my assessment of what has happened. I refuse to accept that these are isolated cases. Now, I have read the statement of INEC again this morning. And even shortly before this interview, I went on Lere Olayinka's X account. Guess what? That post is still there. Contrary to what some people thought, he hasn't deleted it. I just saw it. Right? You can fact check me. It's still there. Despite the public outcry, despite the statement by INEC, the cowardly statement, by the way, which failed to name him You would have taken note of that. INEC in their statement did not even deem it appropriate to identify the person connected with a breach of sensitive data or database within INEC. What does that speak to? Why has Olayinka not felt the need to even retract what he posted? Please fact check me, it is still there. Nobody in this country can convince me this morning that this INEC is not compromised. It speaks to one thing, is confidence of state protection. Because when you have critical national infrastructure, continuous voter registration database being exposed of the data registration of an individual, Emeka Ike, a popular actor, being exposed in this manner, publicly, shamelessly, audaciously, it tells you, contrary to what INEC is trying to tell Nigerians, that INEC, the integrity of this coming election cannot be guaranteed, that people have unauthorized access to INEC infrastructure.
So let me read a line of that statement so that you can give your own interpretation to what INEC is trying to say. INEC says in one of the paragraphs, preliminary findings from the Commission's audit trail so far, however, indicate that there was no external breach of the CVR database, no hacking incident, and no unauthorized external access to the Commission's ICT infrastructure. Rather, the information in question was accessed through valid user credentials assigned to personnel participating in the ongoing CVR exercise, but released without authority. So they are saying here, if I understand, it is not Lere that accessed that information, but somebody who, maybe an INEC personnel, INEC staff, that's my understanding, accessed that information and perhaps shared it with Lere. Is that what they are saying here?
Let's even take their statements on face value. What does unauthorized access mean? What does external breach mean? I think these people are deceiving themselves. When you say external breach, was INEC expecting, was Professor George Omupitang SN telling Nigerians that he was the one who was going to leak that information? This is a clear external breach. Olayinka is not an official of INEC. He had access to information through an official of INEC. What is INEC? Is it the building? INEC is an institution, but that institution is represented by individuals. To the extent that critical voter information of a Nigerian has been exposed. How many of such personnel do we have in INEC? The rogue personnel, who they have not even identified, by the way. They have not. How many of them do we have as that today? What does this tell you? INEC has not deemed it fit to even report this data breach to the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. INEC did not even file a complaint with the SSS or the police. In their statement, they said the State Security Service, on their own initiative, on their own accord, have undertaken investigation. Professor Mupitang did not deem it apposite to invite the police, to invite the SSS, to invite the Nigerian Data Protection Commission to investigate this matter. No!
So I'm also wondering, you know, how INEC should be the one investigating, you know, this breach by itself. But there's something that contradicts this paragraph that Jeffrey just read. If you go to 2 paragraphs before it, this one says, while the one Jeffrey just read ascribes this to personnel participating in the election. So that means it's a candidate that is participating in the election that has accessed this and has caused this external breach. But listen to this. The audit trail from the preliminary investigation has enabled the Commission identify the user accounts through which the information was accessed. Accordingly, relevant personnel have been questioned, and all units connected with the incident are cooperating fully with the investigation. So INEC personnel too, you know, are involved in this. And then in another breath, he said it's a candidate participating in this election that has accessed it.
No, I'm not sure they said a candidate. What I want Nigerians to understand is this.
Personnel participating in the election.
No,
in the ongoing CVR
INEC personnel, that is in the continuous voter registration.
Officers.
I don't want us to be seduced by embarrassing sophistry, which is what INEC is engaging in. This is just sophistry. It is not a complicated matter. What is clear is that INEC, and when I say INEC, personnel of INEC, I reject any attempt to establish a disparity between INEC as an institution and its personnel. There has to be a point where there is accountability. As Professor Amupita even reshuffled the INEC technical team that has the responsibility to protect the integrity of their data infrastructure. Has anyone been queried? Has anyone been fired? Why has INEC not reported this matter to law enforcement? How come that Lere Olayinka has not been invited by the SSS, at least not yet known publicly, has not been taken into custody? To the point that, as we are speaking this moment, that post is still on his X handle. What does this tell you? And they want to convince Nigerians that this is isolated, that when we are going to the polls, don't forget that this commission has a dubious history of data manipulation. They have not explained to us what they meant by a glitch that truncated what was supposed to be the noble and commendable IREF. Kayode, till this moment, this same INEC has not been able to tell Nigerians what the glitch was. This same INEC has not been able to explain the partisan posts of Professor Amupita, which they have failed to convince us that the same INEC now commissioned a purported forensic investigation to investigate the head of the same commission. We are not children.
So if I can, and absolutely, this is a very important conversation, right? So what would INEC do that would, to you now, be seen as satisfactory? If INEC were to say, okay, we have now identified, it stopped short of mentioning names.
Yes.
We have now identified the personnel
Yes.
whose credential was used.
Yes.
Again, your credential may have been used, it may have not been you, right?
Yes.
But whatever the case is, we've identified the credentials, the personnel, the person, we've identified the trail, all right? And these are the people, this is what is being done. Will that be enough for you? Or what, the point is, what would INEC do that would be enough?
There are measures that have to be taken immediately. Immediately. The head of INEC internal technical team that has this responsibility to safeguard their infrastructure has to be fired. The problem we have in Nigeria is lack of a policy of consequence. This shared belief that nothing will happen, a sense of institutional impunity. Professor Mupita, somebody has to take the fall for it. I refuse, like I said, I don't want us to reduce this to a conspiracy theory. I want us to make reasonable deductions. And I cited the case of the partisan post attributed to the INEC chairman. When we saw how people associated with the APC, people who are actively supporting the president, were seen to be syndicating communications that were coming from INEC in a manner suggestive of back-end conversations.
Just to be clear, because I followed that trail. In
Yes.
fact, this is a conversation we really hosted on the show. We
Yes.
had the INEC technical director and all of that. That post, right,
Yes.
had earlier been released by INEC, that statement,
Yes.
before Dada Olusegun then put it up. So INEC had made it public before he then put it up. But I'm not speaking for them. In any case, this is a case that we trashed out on the program. But I just wanted to put
But
that
the
out
fact that
as
it
a
was
fact.
Olusegun who spearheaded the defense of INEC online worries me. This is up. Kayode, why is the name of this commission, why does it start with I, independence? Where is the independence of INEC? And if they are telling us that this particular data breach is isolated, nobody should tell Nigerians that it is only the information of the actor, Emeka,
Yes, that is.
that has been leaked,
That is where the
that is
bigger.
accessible.
That is the bigger concern because it has.
How about that of other Nigerians?
It has a bigger implication
Yes.
of.
So for them to, or are they saying that this personnel
Yeah.
only had access, or only registered, or only updated, or was only involved in the transfer of the data of Emeka Ike? No.
Does it mean that the portal can still be accessed, especially during the election when results are being declared? Are you
I said
worried?
that we're having this conversation, the post is still online. That shows you whoever gave that information to Lere Olayinka may have also given that of other voters to other people.
So let's take a break. And this is coming off the Amupita issue. This is coming off what the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, is when he talked about phone tapping
Yes.
and all of that. So there's a lot going on. But we'll take a break, and when we come back, continue the conversation about, issues around data protection, institutional preservation, and a lot more. Stay with us.
For you, every day is day one. Day one for you to give 100. 100 on the tracks, on the road, at work, because it's your job to give your all. 100 with the gang. And on the dance floor. Truth is, you're not wired to give less. Your future is now. So live it real, loud, full and free. You live it 100.
Welcome back. We're still talking about the issue around data protection and institutional integrity and preservation on the backdrop of Lera Layenka, the aide to Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, publishing a private data information of actor Emeka Ike, who is running for the House of Representatives under the platform of the NDC. And that has generated loads of controversy that if that could be accessed, then what is left of the protection of data privacy in our country? So, Inebe Effiong is here to help us make sense of the situation. Inebe, so you were talking about, so let's talk about what the law says. We have the Nigerian Data Protection Act, I think 2023, that a lot of people can access if they choose to. What are the consequences in law in terms of this? So, what should be the right thing to do? So, if, for instance, DSS invites him and all that, should he have been arrested? Is it a criminal offense? That's one. Second, is this something that he may face jail term, or is just something he will pay fines or remedy through apology? What exactly does the law say?
At a minimum, let me even start with INEC. Emeka Ike had a remedy under Section 51 of the Nigeria Data Protection Act to file a civil action against INEC for the injury that has been occasioned to him on account of the unauthorized exposure of his data. Because under that provision, a data processor who violates the provision of the Act, a data subject has the right to seek remedy, and that includes public authorities such as INEC. So he can sue INEC, he can sue Lera Layenka for a civil remedy in a court. But potentially, can Lera be arrested on account of what he has done? The jurisprudence on that is not so clear. But potentially, if you look at Section 5 of the Cybercrimes Prohibition and Prevention Act of 2015, it criminalizes unauthorized access to critical national information infrastructure, so designated by the president. I haven't seen the executive order to know whether the continuous voter registration or critical INEC database has been so designated. But if it has, the punishment in terms of imprisonment may be up to 10 years. Beyond that, what he has done, the invasive nature of his action, is one that warrants spontaneous criminal investigation, which should be undertaken by relevant agencies. But at the institutional level, what we expect of INEC, what we had expected, was specificity. Not this game they are playing. I want to place on record that under the Constitution, part of the requirements for anyone to be appointed as the personnel of INEC is non-partisanship. The person must not be partisan. When you have a political operative, an aide to a serving minister, a minister who has interest in election in Rivers State, from gubernatorial to national assemblies to state assembly, a minister who has interest in who becomes the president of a country, a minister who is not only a partisan individual, but a very influential one, that his aide will be so audacious to do this. Until this moment, that minister has not. Please, channels should call Minister Wike. I know he has this monthly interaction with you people. When he's having the next one, ask him why he has not fired Lere.
We shouldn't even be waiting till that time.
No, ask him. Because, I mean, any opportunity that you have, he's a friend of the media. Yeah. The media should ask Mr. Wike, Mr. Minister, you are a lawyer. You are a life bencher. You took an oath to preserve the Constitution and the law. This is what your aide has done. Why have you not fired him? Does that presuppose that Wike is privy to this conduct of his aide? Or is he oblivious of it? If this was not done with his consent, if he doesn't approve of this, what has he done? Why have he not fired him? I want to remind you that even as I'm having this conversation, that post is still online. INEC has not filed a complaint with law enforcement. We have a Minister of Communication, because this touches on the integrity of national infrastructure.
And that's where I'm headed, Mr. Effiong. Let's assume that the aggrieved is not going to institute a case in this matter. Because it touches on institutional integrity, shouldn't the Data Protection Commission or the Minister of Communication be alarmed and therefore institute a case for this to be investigated and whoever involved prosecuted?
The Nigerian Data Protection Commission shouldn't even wait. They can act on their own volition. They don't need to be instigated. They don't need to be petitioned to cause an inquiry to be undertaken. This is not a trivial matter. I don't want us to just look at Emeka Ike. We are dealing with a commission that is suffering from acute crisis of confidence. We are dealing with an INEC chairman whose leadership is being questioned, whose partisanship has been called into question. We are dealing with a commission whose timetable is even a subject of controversy, electoral timetable. And this is coming at a time that Nigerians are yearning for credible elections. So if INEC truly cares about the integrity of the electoral process, they should not trivialize this. They should not make it an individual thing.
Right. And that's why I asked you earlier on, as we begin to wind down, that what will be enough? Because as much as this is INEC as an institution, this could well be an individual in INEC. And I don't know at what level now, who has login details. By the way, CVR is continuous voter registration. So because they probably have to bring in even more people to do this, some other people may have these login details. But the point is, it could have been an individual, right? That is not even linked to the chairman of INEC. And to the extent that INEC has said, well, we are following this up, we're investigating this, the DSS is also involved. Let's round this up in that sense. What do you expect next from INEC to ensure that this is dealt with?
Historically, INEC has always been in peril by crisis of partisanship and divided loyalty within its workforce. Personnel of INEC, even under the current administration, go and look at people that President Tinubu appointed as resident electoral commissioners and national commissioners. Some of them are known card-carrying members of the APC. In fact, there is one who was appointed from my state that we have a video of him even attending political rallies. The point is that when they now go publicly like this to tell us to our faces that nothing can happen, Nigerians also must take responsibility and respond to what has happened. I am demanding at a minimum that Lere Olayinka this morning be taken into custody. The SSS cannot be so active, the State Security Service cannot be so hyperactive in going to Rivers State to trace somebody for allegedly calling for a coup on X, cannot be so active to be arresting people from insulting the president, to be filing charges against Sowore for insulting the president, to be looking for who is abusing somebody online, when this kind of conduct has taken place, and we are not seeing arrest, we are not seeing invitation, we are not seeing any movement. The police have what they call the National Cybercrime Center in Abuja. What is their position on what has happened? When are we going to see the prosecution of this personnel of INEC, this rogue personnel? How many of such personnel do we have? Professor Mubita has to conduct a forensic audit of the personnel of INEC, especially those that have access to this kind of data. Those who had responsibility to guarantee the integrity of that data must also be made to account for it. If somebody has to be fired, that has to be done. And somebody should to be fired. We cannot allow this. And as I said, the victim, the data subject, Emeka Ike, also has a remedy in civil law, civil remedy. So we cannot trivialize this. This is a matter that condescends on national security. El-Rufai is standing trial today for allegedly intercepting the phone of the NSA. This is even worse because it touches on elections.
So if these institutions don't activate this response mechanism to a national security breach of a nature like this, what should our conclusions be? It will
be the validation of the well-held belief, popularly held belief, that this INEC is compromised. I don't have confidence that President Mitterrand will give Nigerians credible elections. Because so far, the indices is showing
for
that this INEC is not serious.
So it's in the interest of INEC as an independent organization to make sure that that person and Lero Layenka answer questions, right?
Yes, it is, but don't limit it to that person. If you make it an individual thing, we will lose focus of the points. I do not accept the premise suggested by INEC that this is an isolated case. And the person who allegedly gave this information, how much of data is available to this person?
Okay.
Does the person have your voting information, your data? Does it have that of Coyote?
Because your address, your house address, which is very private, is also going to be there.
Don't forget.
Your phone number should be there.
Don't forget, Hero, don't forget that this INEC, even the one led by Umupita, has not told Nigerians the glitch that disrupted. They have not explained that glitch. We are not going to stop demanding explanation on the glitch. They told us that IREV went down. Are we going to have another glitch in the 2027 elections?
Relatedly, Mr. Nyesom Wike, you mentioned him earlier. He revealed during his last media chat that he was propositioned by the current Senate President and then Minister of the Niger Delta to deliver 25% of the votes to Buhari. Now, I'm wondering, why could that proposition have been? Mr. Wike is not a member of the Independent National Electoral Commission. So since we're talking about votes and the electoral process.
You know, sometimes I'm reluctant to speak about my former governor, Akpabio, because I am tired of talking about him. But we are dealing with politicians or a political class in Nigeria that is fatalistic. And I keep reminding the media at every fora that this is a system that is designed to undermine our country. We had a serving senator on the floor of the Senate declare to the whole nation, brazenly, that, look, my wife used to help some of you to resolve your cases. Nothing came out of it. So when you have a minister saying, the serving Senate president told me, please just give me 25%, as if Akpabio had it in his pocket. Meanwhile, don't forget, the same Akpabio has come out to tell Nigerians that Akpabio will give the highest percent of votes from the South-South to the incumbent president. These people are telling us to our faces that if you think your vote will count, you are wasting your time.
All right.
The question is not what are they going to do. The question is, what will Nigerians do in response?
All right. Inibe Effiong, legal practitioner, constitutional lawyer, and rights activist. Thank you, as always, for bringing your insight.
Always a pleasure.
We hope that the institution called INEC will redeem itself from the crisis of confidence. And we're going to follow through with this case. We're not done with the issue of the Amopiton Professor SAN, and then this has added to it, because we need to protect our institutions. We can't allow it to fail.